relate to each other. Now, how is that possible? In the Bible, it states that Jesus was at the lowest point of his life, having been tortured, whipped, nailed to a cross. And within those moments of his dying breath, he muttered these words, "Forgive me, Father, for they do not know what they are doing. Forgive them." He muttered those words. And he also said, "Why has God, why have you forsaken me?" How does this relate to what we do on a daily basis here? Because Jesus gave a piece of himself to each and every single one of us. He gave a piece of himself to us. He taught us how to be humble to one another, how to love each other, how to be respectful to one another. And by doing that, he was able to provide peace. How does that correspond to you guys and myself on a daily basis? How many of you on a daily basis encounter somebody, either whether it be in real life or on VR chat, that comes up to you and may not necessarily agree with the way that you talk, with what you wear, the avatars that you wear, with the way that you are, and don't respect you for who you are? And you feel like you want to give up. You feel like that God's not listening. How many of you in real life deal with real life situations? Hurt. Maybe you lost somebody in your life. Maybe somebody was sick. Maybe somebody hurt you. And then oftentimes you turn to God and you say, "God, are you not there? Why aren't you helping me? God, how could you allow my friend or family member to pass away like that? They were sick, they were suffering. Could you have not tried harder?" How many of you are guilty of that? I know that I have been. But in those times when we think that God is not there, we need to turn to God. We need to listen to God. We need to listen to Jesus, what Jesus has taught us. To trust in him, to be humble to him, to love him. In a world where there is so much hatred, in a world where people are not always kind to one another, we have to learn how to have peace. We have to learn how to love one another and respect one another. And by doing that, we will find the peace that we need in our life. I want to share a very special story. One that has really, really hit home for me. So much so that it's a blessing to be here to be able to share my story with each and every single one of you. I'm sure that all of you watch the news. You see what goes on a day-by-day basis. Well, friends, I will tell you, I lived in Israel for 2 years of my life. I got to experience what the Holy Land means personally to me. I've walked, I've lived, I've got to witness where Jesus was born, where he was raised, where he died, where he was resurrected. And in a place of such beauty and such power and such emotion, have I ever seen such hatred. So much so that people on a day-by-day basis are being killed. Children, teenagers are being taken away from their families. on a day-by-day basis because of their beliefs. And I witnessed it for 2 years of my life. I was a part of a group called Birthright, which I'm allowed to experience a trip to Israel to learn about my heritage, to learn about who I am as a person, how everything is connected to me as a person. I got to witness that for 2 years. And my cousins, who, thank God, are still with us, were a part of the Israeli Defense Force and invited me to live with them. And I got to experience what it's like and what life is like in Israel. Friends, I will tell you that you should be blessed every single day for the air that you get to breathe. That just the fact of waking up in the morning, the fact that the sun is shining on your face, the fact that you are here together in a virtual platform, whatever it is that you do in your life, you should be blessed for that. You should be thankful for that. Because in Israel, and what I've witnessed, every single day is a challenge. Every single day, people, including myself, fought to stay alive. Every single day, a person, a child, a teenager, their life is being taken away. And what does this all mean? How does this all tie in to one another? How does this all tie into one another? Because through all the atrocities that I have witnessed, having to run for my life from missiles, bombs, shootings, murder, it taught me how to love people. It taught me how to cherish my life and value my life on a day-by-day basis, ladies and gentlemen. If you look over here to my left, and this was taken back in 2014. I was really young. I'm not going to give away my age, but this was really young. The topmost left photo is the one that hurts the most. Those were my friends. They were soldiers that accompanied my journey when I was in Israel on my birthright trip. That's the memory that I have. That's the memory that I have left of them. That's all that I have left, is a memory of them. Their lives were taken from them by something very atrocious. That is the reality of what goes on in life. But even through so much hatred, the love that they showed, the dedication that they show, the life that they gave, so that we can
all right. I do believe Zuco crashed, but don't worry. I think he'll be on here in a second. Oh, and I'm starting to lag out. Yeah, don't worry. He'll be back. I think he just needs a quick little rejoin. But I'm just going to coast off what he was actually touching base on for a second. But what he says really does put things into perspective, right? Now, we are, in a way, if you are from a first world country, the US or the EU or Australia, we do kind of live in a bubble from time to time. Yes, we watch the news if you ever engage in some of those activities. We see it on the screen, but sometimes it always slips our mind that real world events are happening all the time. where wars break out, disasters happen. There are tribes of people that, starve, and it's just, but yet here we are, literally with our computer towers, our headsets, all our material things at our computer desks, our gaming chairs. We are in a very cushy lifestyle. And for that, we should be really generous with the things that God provided with us. Now, I don't know where Zuko is going to go as soon as he comes back, but these things are very heavy things to talk about, right? A lot of times, like a lot of stuff in this world that's actually going on, a lot of people are really uneasy, to bring up certain things because it makes them uncomfortable, right? Sometimes we don't want to hear it. We want to push it down and kind of be like, yeah, I know it happens, but I'm not going to acknowledge that it happens. So I do have plans to actually do something along the sides of that. Let's just say Meta Church does have a route we're going to go to do something about that. I'm not going to give any big details about it, but I'm glad Zuko is actually bringing that up because Meta Church is going to be pairing with a really big charity event pretty soon within the next month. And we're going to be hopefully engaging. So I want to give you guys a heads up, right? We're going to be starting in June pretty soon. As soon as we start getting second services thrown in, just be ready. Okay. And I do hope, I pray Zuko comes back, because if it's just me, I'm just going to start talking about random stuff. But that is something I do agree where we should definitely, if you have the money or the situation, to go and actually visit Israel. That's on one of my bucket lists. I don't know about any of you guys, but for those who have actually gone, it'd be actually behoove you to actually talk to somebody who has actually gone to Israel, because that's like, if you actually experience that, now the things that you read on the pages all of a sudden pop to life, right? You go where Jesus wept. You visit the site where miracles were, produced. You get to walk where Jesus walked, wept where he wept, lived where he lived. And it's just an amazing experience. That is actually one of the best trips I want to go on 100%. Obviously, I believe they are still doing tours in Israel, but obviously if anyone has actually caught up with the news, it's bombs. A lot of bombs between Pakistan and Israel. So let's always keep this in mind. Always keep that in our prayers and all that jazz. So with that being said, I do hope Zuko gets back. I know it really does suck sometimes, doing the online thing. It does have pros and cons. We can do this. We can gather in a virtual roof, and literally we are miles away from each other, and yet we can all gather and engage in such a communal way where, over, 15 years ago, that wasn't even possible, So we are extremely blessed with that. But with the same time, there's a lot of cons where occasionally sometimes, including me and Mike, technical difficulties may arise. So that's why, even though at Meta Church, we do love you here, but it is very important to also engage in your actual community church. Now, with some people, I understand your situation. Like some of the churches maybe not be teaching very biblical things, or they may be very worldly. And that's why this is a substitute. This shouldn't be a temporary thing. It should be a permanent. And we are very happy to have you here in general. So, did Zuko text you, Vision, at all? You get looking around, you're like, are you talking to me? Well, we'll give it a couple more minutes. I'm debating Like, should we? You want to look up a video or something, or do you want to call it early? I can just rant if you want me to rant. Mm. Hmm. I did like his message. Well, I like how he talked about when he was saying how Jesus, like God gave a piece of him to go have a piece of him dying on the cross, but also with the Holy Spirit gives us, it's like a piece of God actually dwells within us to give us peace. So it's a whole construct, like when you actually think about it. It was a good thing. I wanted to hear the rest of it, but I believe Pastor Mike is here, right? I saw him join. Get him on stage. I want to get off. Mike, get up here. I'm underprepared. Zuco,
hey, where's the music? Let's get some ambience going so it's not all quiet. Hello, guys. Sorry, I am
Zuco
late.
crashed, so.
Zuco, I am in contact with Zuco right now. Sadly, of course, I believe he's on Quest 2, and obviously Quest 2 is a little bit harder to handle these higher player counts. So that explains a lot why he got kicked out. He's definitely trying to join back in. I think in the meantime, maybe we'll watch a Bible Project video just to see if we can give him some more ample time to return to us. At least we can be engaged in something. It seems like it might be an issue. Okay, we'll end with a video. Maybe we can get some insight on something at least about this whole Israel thing. Even if it hopefully relates somewhat to the topic, guys. But definitely apologies for that.
Jealous of his brother, who's getting God's favor.
And God tells Cain, be careful with your anger because sin is a monster that wants to consume you, but you can rule it.
Cain gives in to the monster and murders his brother.
And as a result, God sends Cain into the wilderness, and there he builds the first city in the story of the Bible.
One man builds an entire city.
Well, in the ancient world, a city was a group of homes by a wall. It's for protection. Cain's afraid that someone might find him and kill him.
Okay, got it. The wall makes the city.
Exactly. And then the city of Cain goes on to breed a culture of revenge and violence. Later, one of the city's warriors, who's like a corrupt king, boasts in a song, if you threaten or slap me or wound my honor, I'll kill you. This is the mindset at work in Cain's city.
The monster that Cain let within has now become the monster that people live within. The city is bad news.
But it doesn't have to be. The city of Cain is also where music is invented, along with metalworking and animal domestication.
So cities can be a place where we create abundance for everyone, but give the city enough time and that monster will eventually take over.
Right. Like the next city, founded by a giant warrior king who builds a city with a tower that reaches up into the heavens to make their name great.
This is Babylon, which will one day spread violence throughout the land, conquering many nations.
Yes, Babylon is the biblical image of a monstrous, violent human city. And this is all tragic because the city is the opposite of the safe garden home that God originally put humans in.
So ancient cities have imposing walls for self-protection to keep resources inside.
But the garden is protected by God, with a spring at its center that flows out into rivers that share its goodness with all the land.
Babylon has a tower at its center to reach up to the heavens.
While the garden has the tree of life at its center, God's heavenly throne and presence touching down on the land.
The mindset of the city is self-preservation and peace enforced by the threat of death.
But the culture of the garden is peace through generosity, because there's always enough to go around.
Let's go back to the garden.
Yes, you would think so. But the surprise of the biblical story is that God plans to bring his garden to the city.
Really?
Yeah, let's look at King David, who God appointed to lead Israel. He chose for their capital city to be
Jerusalem, the city of David, Mount Zion.
right. And when David brings the throne of God's presence up to Jerusalem, the city becomes an image of God's garden city. There's abundance for everybody and peace for a time.
Right, until David becomes like Cain. He gives into that inner monster and murders one of his soldiers so he can take that man's wife.
And so this begins the tragic story of Jerusalem's corruption through the kings from David's line. And while a few kings do try to stop the monster, most give in. And so the garden city becomes a den of robbers, full of greed and violence and oppression.
And eventually Babylon, an even bigger monster, takes them out. Maybe the garden city isn't realistic after all.
But Israel's prophets maintained hope that God would one day create his heavenly city here on earth, with streams going out and the nations streaming in, gardens and feasts and peace, and no more death.
This sounds like more than just a new city. This sounds like the dawn of new creation.
Yes, it totally does. And it's actually this hope that brings us to the story of Jesus. In Jesus' day, Jerusalem was ruled by a violent King Herod. And when Jesus began announcing that God's heavenly kingdom was arriving here on earth, he didn't even go to Jerusalem with its leaders.
Yeah, he went to the hills and towns of Galilee, sharing good news with the poor and the unimportant.
And then Jesus took his followers up onto a hill and said, "You all are the city on the hill that will shine its light to the nations." And then he taught his followers the ethic of God's city, which is the opposite of the mindset of Cain's city and of Babylon.
Instead of protecting life and keeping peace with the threat of violence,
Jesus taught his followers to create peace by sharing generously, even with your enemies, and to preserve life through love and forgiveness, even if it costs you. This is what it looks like when the heavenly city comes to earth.
but weren't the prophets expecting that God's new city would be Jerusalem?
Well, Jesus said that the Jerusalem of his day was corrupt and headed for destruction, and this stirred up trouble with the leaders of the city.
So to keep peace, they used the threat of death to get rid of Jesus.
But when Jesus stood on trial, knowing that they were going to have him executed, he said he was about to be enthroned as king of God's heavenly city.
Wait, you can't become king by letting your enemies kill you.
Well, you can if you're stronger than death. In fact, this is the only way to transform the mindset of Cain's city, to overcome the fear of death by trusting in the power of God's eternal life that raised Jesus from the dead. This is the power that streams out from Jesus into the world today. And so the earliest followers of Jesus called each other to seek the well-being of their cities while trusting that their true citizenship was elsewhere.
You mean the New Jerusalem, the city of God?
Yes, and when followers of Jesus gather and share together, they can begin to taste the life and love of that heavenly city right now, in the present.
And so the story of the Bible doesn't end with humans building a city up to heaven.
No, it ends with God bringing his garden city down to the land.
The heavenly Jerusalem, full of abundance for all the nations, with the river of life flowing through its streets.
And at its center is the crucified and risen Jesus on the throne. And the city walls will be decommissioned because the gates of this city will never be closed.
Our mission at Bible Project is to help people experience the Bible as a unified story that leads to Jesus.
We're able to give away for
Okay, that was insightful. Well, I think we're going to need at least a couple more minutes for Zuko. He's going to try to get on his laptop account to see if he can resume the message. I think Blue did a really great job, actually. That was really great in picking up that ball, Blue. I heard it on the live stream there. But I think we understand the points in case he doesn't return. Let's pray that he does. But feel free to just have fellowship for let's give him like 10 minutes. Talk, get to know, introduce yourself to one another. And if he's not here in 10 minutes, we'll just end off with one more worship song. We'll close out, and maybe we can resume this another time. All right, guys? But let's just give him like 10 minutes to figure it out, all right?
Oh.
Break. Hello, Spikey. How you doing, brother? Yep. Oh, smart. Just zoom up on it. Or overlay it, yeah. That's smart thinking. Okay. Well, I have the stream account up. It's actually there right now. Mm-hmm. I see. Yeah. Understood. That's all right. Yeah. Well, hopefully he can return so we can wrap up what he was saying, because it was getting good there. But if not, maybe we can figure something else out. I'm not sure what to do.
The one I posted where it's like all of them are sleeping in a cage, except S'mores is like halfway out and just laying.
That would be smart. That would be very smart.
Should be your
Yes.
your chin.
I mean, that's certainly possible. We could even do that now. I mean, I could ask him, well, let me see here. What do we got? No, he is. I appreciate him too much every day. Think about him before I go to sleep. A little bit. You are now officially in the mod chat. I thought, Spikey, that you were. Maybe I thought I did at one point, but you're there. You should see it just in case there is a quabble in which you can benefit from, at least knowing some insight beforehand, okay? We're gonna have multiple streams. We'll have a stream in the main world, stream in the overflow world. Hopefully, maybe that can suffice if that's the way we need to do it. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Have a TP9 essay in my nightstand try. Okay, Harry Potter. Witchcraft. Deuteronomy says she'll put you to death. This one will lick you and then randomly bite you. That's why he's in the cage. Or the cat with like the drool on the side of its face. They're all lazy. Dirt. I like how one eye is wider than the other. Like he woke up, is just angry and confused at the same time. He's just like.
All right, he's going to check to see if he can join in a private instance and see if that's able. And then we can just transfer the stream account over there. Go up on stage. I can turn on the amplifier for him, and we can continue if that's going to work. But we'll find out shortly.
You didn't blink, now they just stood there staring. I'm like. He already knows the other two ferrets.
I can't. I have my thing. My controller's broken on me. I can't even get out of the main menu. I gotta get new controllers.
I gotta get new
controllers.
friends.
Okay.
I'm kidding. Ah, the lag.
Oh, there we go. Now it's
The lag is real. The lag is real.
my controller has returned. All right, he's gonna confirm to me in a few seconds here. That works. I have not. I'm gonna go join Zuko. I think it might be working for him. Sorry, I'll be right back.
They had to continue things. Our guest is in another world. His headset doesn't seem to have the hardware to run with everything. So we're going to have him with his own little stream there, and we'll probably put it on to the big screen here in a couple moments once we get set up. Just to give you guys that heads up and, continue your fellowship, but just be ready. We'll be ready to continue relatively soon. Thank you. That's there. Yeah, babe.
All right, Zuko, brother, whenever you're ready, okay? Should all be working for you.
Yeah, Mike, I'm sorry. I've been operating on Quest 2, and it's not allowing. If there's too many people, it will just fry my headset completely.
I get it. It's hard. It's hard to contain all that, especially if you're looking at all them at once. It takes me too. It takes me all the time, man. It's hard. But see if that works. Get up there and just give me like 2 minutes, okay? I'm gonna go back.
Okay. The voice amplifier is on, Mike. You can hear me okay up there?
Everything's perfect. I can hear you.
Okay.
All right. I'll put you on for everyone back at home base, unless they're already here. But I'll go double check for you.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and congregants from Meta Church VR. I want to take this opportunity to wish every single one of you a happy Holy Sunday. I also want to give a special thanks to Pastor Mike and Dark Void from my team, the Holy Aces, for giving me his blessing to be here today. I want to start off by asking each and every single one of you here today a question. And I want you to really, really think about this. What does the word peace mean to you? What does peace mean to you? So I want you to take a moment and really think that question over. What does the word peace mean to you? Well, believe it or not, peace has two meanings. And even though that those two meanings and words are different, they are alike in so many ways, and especially in the Bible. The word peace, P-E-A-C-E, means to be humble to one another, to love one another, to show respect and integrity to one another. That's what P-E-A means. But what does P-I-E-C-E stand for? That peace. If you think about that, it means to be a part of something larger, to be a part of something big, a small fraction of something. When we go to the Bible, we think about Jesus. There's a point in time where Jesus was at one of the most lowest parts of his life. He was whipped. He was beaten. He was nailed to a cross, dying in agony. And at one point, he turned to God and he said, God, why have you forsaken me? Why have thou forsaken me? But at the same time, he also made a statement saying, forgive them, Father, for they don't know what they have done. So Jesus gave a piece of himself so that we can find the peace in our lives that we desire, that love, that respect, that humbleness that we look to find in one another. He gave a piece of himself. And oftentimes the trouble, we tend to look away from God when we should be looking at God and looking for Christ. Christ gives us the answers that we are looking for, but it's up to each and every single one of you to find those answers. How many of you are guilty of this? How many of you have dealt with problems in your life? Maybe here on VR chat, maybe in real life, where we turn to God and we say, God, I wish that you were there. I wish you would just help me with this. I really need help, God. Come on, God, I need your help. How many of you have done that? I know that I have. But in reality, God is calling back at you and saying, I'm here to help. The answer is here. The message is just not clear to us. Sometimes it could take us weeks, months, or even years to find that answer. But when we do find that answer, that's where we find that peace. But if you give a piece of yourself to people in such troubled times, even when we're angry at somebody, where we may feel like we want to hurt somebody or somebody hurts us, we have to remember to give a piece of our humbleness back if we want to find peace within ourselves. That's what Jesus has taught us, is how to stay humble, how to love one another, how to be there for one another, how to hold each other up. I would love to take this opportunity to share a personal story and how this peace means so much to me. Friends, back in 2015, I took a journey to Israel. I took a trip to experience my culture, my heritage, what it means to be me as a person, what God means to me, my personal connection to God. And in such times as we know, if you all watch what goes on in the world, you would know that Israel suffers atrocities on such frequent levels, on a day-by-day basis. Women, children, teenagers get their lives taken from them with the snap of a finger because of what they believe in. Hatred. And I lived like that for 2 years. I stayed with my cousins who served in the military in the Israeli Defense Force. I got to experience and walk in the Holy Land where Jesus was raised, where he rose from the dead, where he taught. And it's in the place of such beauty, in a place that is so powerful, do we see such hatred. But in those times, I learned more about God than I ever had in my life. I learned how to be more humble to one another. I learned not to judge people by who they are. I learned how to survive in such harsh environments. And even know that on a day-by-day basis, that people are around me whose lives are being taken and who are not so fortunate. I learned that God is always there in such dark times. And even now in my life, when I hurt, when someone around me, or family member, a loved one, passes away unexpectedly, when somebody says something to me that I might not take to heart, I still learn how to love people. I look at these pictures that Pastor Mike was so graciously able to put up behind me here. And some of my friends that you see in these photos here, unfortunately, were not so fortunate and lost their lives throughout my time in Israel. But I always know one thing, that they will always be at peace because of the love in their hearts that they had for every single one of us here. They fought for us so that we could have better lives. So I want to conclude I want to conclude today with something special. And I ask each and every single one of you to take a moment. Know in your heart how much appreciated you are. Know that God is always there for you every single solitary day when you think that He is not. Whether it is a family fight, whether it is a loss of a family member, whether it is somebody that says something to you that you might not necessarily agree with, and you have that anger, that rage in you, take a moment and realize that you are loved by God. God is there. And if you're willing to accept God into your life each and every single day, you will find peace. By giving a piece of yourself back to people that you love and you care about, you will find the peace that you desire. I want to take one more opportunity to thank Pastor Mike for having me here today. My Holy Aces team here for literally giving me their blessing to be here today. I know we had some glitch issues today, but Pastor Mike made it a blessing to be back here today and make this possible today. I wish you all a happy rest of your Sunday. May God love each and every single one of you. And may you all prosper through the eyes of God. And together we say, Amen. Take care.